Good evening and welcome to this edition of WTV News. My name is Zawadi Mdibo. We begin with a look at the headlines of the news we have for you on this particular day. The lead poisoning week. Just how to keep off toxic paints. Digital ID cards to be introduced 2015. And celebrating Kenyan artists. We look at Sauti soul and award-winning journalists. Welcome to the broadcast. Now, information technology has become revolutionary, and this has led to the introduction of the integrated ID cards, which will relieve Kenyans from carrying all sorts of identification. Winnie Otieno tells us more on digitizing identities.
The idea of walking around with piles of paper to prove your identity has been draining, considering that these documents operate independently.
I have an ID. I also have a PIN number. I also have a driving license, and it can identify me across. And I also have a passport. And don't forget, I also have an employer number. Just imagine, all those things don't talk to each other.
The system used to register people in the country and the management of the record has perpetuated to the crime rates since little updates can be made on paper files.
The fraud in insurance is bigger than the profitability of the industry.
The Digital Registration Service Company has come up with solutions to this. Kenyans will be required to register for new IDs by February 2015. The process entails capturing of a fingerprint and iris scan. This will consolidate the country's registry and enhance security. This service will take the country's registry system to the 21st century by using an integrated digital ID.
Then after that, we populate that with their biodata, which is already existing in the system, so that we have a full record. Once we have a full record, we are able to issue every Kenyan with a digital ID.
The system will go past people to digitalize and avail information on the land establishment and business assets available in the country. It will be a powerful transition that will be used to reduce any vices in the country, as the registrar of persons will have one quick unit to identify any citizen. Reporting for WTV News, I'm Winnie Otieno.
Well, thank you very much, Winnie Otieno. And that report forms the basis of your thoughts segment. That is our feedback question. We ask you, do you think the transition to digital IDs will reduce crime and corruption in Kenya? Do you think the transition to digital IDs will reduce corruption and crime in Kenya? Send us your comments and opinion or responses on the SMS number on your screen. That is 20058 20058, and we will sample some of the most striking comments and post them on our social media platforms. That is Twitter at WTV Kenya and on our Facebook page, which is WTV. We move on now and look at an interesting twist of events across our borders, where water ministers of Ethiopia, Sudan, and Egypt say the three main countries that share the Nile River, that is Nile River's waters, have moved towards an agreement to study whether a planned 4 billion Ethiopian dam would disrupt flows to downstream countries. That report by Agnes Maina.
Ethiopian Minister of Water and Energy, Alemayehu Tegenua, is confident Ethiopia's structure and design of all dams are constructed in a way that it does not harm significantly the downstream country. The Ethiopian government is still hopeful that rainfall cannot be a guarantee, so the country will stick to its principle.
Ethiopia designed all the dams in the country in the way that does not harm significantly the downstream countries. This is a principle. This principle by itself is very important. No need of giving a guarantee.
While the countries continue talks, construction will proceed on the Renaissance Dam, which will be Africa's biggest dam and aims to provide cheap power for countries as far as South Africa and Morocco. Egypt's Water Resources Minister Hossam El-Din Mogaze said that the committee agreed to shortlist 7 international consultancy firms that have an international reputation and are known to be efficient to conduct technical, hydraulic, environmental, economic and social studies. The project aims to produce 6,000 megawatts of electricity for a power-hungry region, a move that has upset Egypt, which relies almost exclusively on the Nile River for farming, industry and drinking water for a rapidly growing population. Cairo is concerned that years of filling the new dam, 74 billion cubic meter reservoir, will temporarily cut the river's flow and that surface water evaporation from the huge new lake will then reduce it permanently. Reporting for WTV, my name is Agnes Minor.
And now on to a very interesting story that we mentioned in our headlines earlier on. And we did ask you about the lead prevention week. And the story, imagine a very well put design, that is the painting and the arrangement in the interior of a house. And now, look at how you can choose a suitable paint, and that is for your house. And have you ever stopped to wonder what impact the paint you use could have on your children? WTV's Irene Galgalo gives us an insight on what you may probably not have known.
Every year, the world marks the National Lead Poisoning Prevention Week, and this year's theme is Lead-Free Kids for a Healthy Future. The event, held on the 3rd week of October, focuses on the need to eliminate lead from elements that children are exposed to. Such elements include lead paint and other lead-coated toys. Dr. Farida Were, an environmentalist at the Kenya Industrial Research and Development Institute, explains.
It's an international week of lead poisoning awareness. Last year, we carried out International Week of Awareness on 2013, the same month. And we will continue doing this until the year 2020, when all the lead in the country has been eliminated.
Prolonged exposure to lead can cause a lowered IQ in children, hearing loss, seizures, nausea, anemia, and other neurological and renal complications. But are there any other substitutes to this dangerous element?
The substitutes exist for lead. We have substitutes, various types of substitutes, but they require some research on it so that they come up with the correct formulation, the correct quality, even for the general public. So it requires a lot of research on it. And that's why we are also meeting with the paint manufacturers so that we look at these substitutes and we see how viable it is, because some of them are very expensive.
What are the symptoms of lead poisoning to a human being, and what can a person do if they realize they might be exposed?
Yeah, the symptoms of lead poisoning are not clear, and that's why even one can have those symptoms and you never really know that you are poisoned by lead, especially like children. It affects their IQ. Some of the people who have been affected by lead, they have criminal tendencies, yeah? But you really never know whether it is lead or something else, because the symptoms are just alike. It affects the whole system, the nervous system, the kidney, yeah? It affects the liver. So just by looking at it, you may not really know that you are poisoned by lead. But the best way is to carry out a blood test of lead, which can be carried out at Kenyatta National Hospital.
What steps can Kenyans take to ensure that they do not expose themselves to an unnecessary amount of lead which could be harmful to their health?
Public is to ensure that when they are painting their houses, they are using unleaded paint, and also to ensure that during painting, especially demolition or sanding, the children are not in the house. At least ensure that the children's room does not contain lead paint. It should be lead-free. And it should not also peel off. For example, if you used for your house lead paint, you ensure that it doesn't peel off.
Just like the government championed the need to phase out lead in petrol in 2005 due to health reasons, there is a need for the same amount of focus to be placed on getting rid of lead in paint and other materials that children and pregnant women could come into contact with. For WTV News, I am Irene Galgalo.
Now, Monday of this week was Kenya's Mashujaa Day, a week or a day that we celebrate the heroes, the people that fought for our freedom. It turns out that this week we've had a lot of Mashujaas, not just as far as the political arena is concerned, but also in the field of journalism and the music industry. Joseph Mathenge is one of Africa's most recognized journalists, and Sauti Soul, Kenya's band, also bagged some awards. Here's the report.
On September 21st, 2013, freelance photographer Joseph Mathenge was on his way to cover an event when he got a distress call from a friend stuck in Westgate. With his ailing son in the car, he turned around and headed toward the terror-struck shopping mall. Apart from taking photos as a journalist, he was on a mission to rescue a friend.
Rather, I should say it is sad that we won these awards in the background of the 67 people who died. I wish it was something else. Yeah, and I wish to dedicate the award to them, I mean to the relatives of those who lost their beloved ones, and of course to the people of Kenya, including my son actually, because it is him who made me enter Westgate. I would not have gone there.
However, it is the images he took that made him win the prestigious CNN accolade, beating 28 finalists from 10 countries to win the overall CNN Multi-Choice African Journalist of the Year award for his work dubbed Images of Terror. Other outstanding Kenyan journalists who won the CNN awards include Patrick Mayoyo of Daily Nation, Evelyn Wata of Sports News Arena.com, and Ann Mawathe and Rashid Ibrahim of Citizen TV. CNN Multi-Choice African Journalist competition prides itself as the most prestigious and respected award for journalists across the African continent. Thursday night, Kenya's Afropop band Sauti Soul lifted Kenya's flag high when they beat Africa's top musicians like Davido, Diamond and Flavor to win the EMA Award for the Best African Act 2014 at the MTV Europe Music Award. The win qualifies them to contend for the Best Worldwide Act Award. WTV crew wishes them all the best.
At an outdoor gym in South Sudan capital Juba, Pura Okello takes a group of young men through their paces. Okello is a martial arts coach, promoter and former professional kickboxer. After starting his career in Canada in the 90s, he came back home in 2008 with a dream of building a kickboxing community and training center.
A lot of young people here are lacking a lot of self-esteem and self-confidence. So I thought of really bringing a sport and bringing something out of themselves, making them proud, making them seen worldwide, because initially no one probably knows about South Sudan kickboxing until I came here. Now there are kickboxers well known all over the world. If you go to WKF, which is World Kickboxing Federation, you'll see good name about South Sudan. I mean, the world will never knew these young people have that much talent, but someone has to explore that talent, and it is my duty. That's why I'm here, to see if I can also take that part of the talent from them, show them that they are capable, show them that they can be another world champion somewhere.
So far, it's mainly female South Sudanese kickboxers that have made a name for themselves on the world stage. Okello himself has won many medals representing Canada.
I'm very fortunate because I have people back in Canada, and whenever I go back there, I have a group to, a shoulder that I can cry on. They knew that I'm doing this work here initially with nothing, like I'm working on zero income. So when I go back, they always give me gloves, like pads, even some clothing. As you can see, this weight here, we managed to squeeze from here and there, and now we have some weight training. So this is how things are, and we don't want to wait. Like initially, everything will come, but as you see development in South Sudan, it will take some time. And this is one of my initiatives to see this sport really grow.
Experts say South Sudan lost many of its best and brightest to the diaspora. Many young people at Okelo's gym hope that kickboxing can be a way out of poverty.
There's a lot of money in the fighting game. You just got to be disciplined enough to put in the work, you know what I mean? And plus, it's fresh grounds for South Sudan. Like, it doesn't exist yet. So the first people to get involved will really make a lot of money out of it eventually. You know, there could be a lot of opportunities, man.
For now, tournaments like this organized at Nyakuron Cultural Center in Juba are an opportunity for Okelo's students to test their skills and strength in the ring. Already the support base home is growing, and Okelo is optimistic that the government will follow with backing and funding. Rading Biko reporting for WTV.
Well, that report does it. My name is Zawadi Mdibo. Do have yourselves a great evening and fantastic weekend ahead. Be sure to join us on our Twitter handle, join the conversation at WTV Kenya, and also our Facebook page at WTV Kenya. You can also grab a copy of the Tune magazine, present in all major outlets, that is Nakumatt and all other stores. This is a publication of Haunted Media Group, a sister company of WTV, the latest issue. This is about one man's fight against drugs and alcohol, keeping a sane society. You don't want to miss your copy. Good evening.